After the Sabbath, as the first day of the week was dawning, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary went to view the tomb. Suddenly, there was a violent earthquake, because an angel of the Lord descended from heaven and approached the tomb. He rolled back the stone and was sitting on it. His appearance was like lightning, and his robe was as white as snow. The guards were so shaken from fear of him that they became like dead men. But the angel told the women, "Don't be afraid, because I know you are looking for Jesus who was crucified. He is not here, for he has been resurrected, just as he said. Come and see the place where he lay. Then go quickly and tell his disciples. He has been raised from the dead. In fact, he is going ahead of you to Galilee. You will see him there. Listen, I have told you." So departing quickly from the tomb with fear and great joy, they ran to tell his disciples the news. Just then Jesus met them and said, "Good morning." They came up, took hold of his feet, and worshipped him. Then Jesus told them, "Do not be afraid. Go and tell my brothers to leave for Galilee, and they will see me there." As they were on their way, some of the guards came into the city and reported to the chief priests everything that had happened. After the priests had assembled with the elders and agreed on a plan, they gave the soldiers a large sum of money and told them, "Say this: his disciples came during the night and stole him while we were sleeping. If this reaches the governor's ears, we will deal with him and keep you out of trouble." So they took the money and did as they were instructed. And this story has been spread among Jewish people to this day. Good morning and happy Resurrection Day. This is the day in which we commemorate the most important event in the history of mankind. His resurrection being more important than his birth. His resurrection being the only thing that gave meaning to his death. And it is the ultimate act of sovereignty on his behalf, conquering death for us and giving us a way out of the tomb. Every year after Thanksgiving, you hear the inevitable stories about the culture war and the war on Christmas. And that's just about it, that's as far as people are willing to stand up for Christ, because just a few short months later, everyone is running around saying Happy Easter, giving eggs, hiding eggs, and all this nonsense. And Easter is treated, or the celebration of the resurrection, rather, is treated as a minor event or a minor celebration as compared to Christmas or some of the other things. But this is the simple truth. Good Friday is the second most important day in the history of mankind, because it is the day that our punishment was taken away from us and paid, served by someone else. It comes second only to the resurrection, which gave his birth and his death meaning. And it's not just a story. It's a very transcendent event that happened. the empty tomb is reality. And we all need to ask ourselves on this pre-dawn, as we reflect upon these stories we've heard most of our lives, are we going to do what the Jews did when they got news of the empty tomb? Because that's what we're called to do. We have to deal with the empty tomb. And it's very moving for me. It's very powerful for me when I think about that. It's a singular event. It's a uniquely singular event. Christ predicted it. He was in the tomb 3 days, the sign of the fish, and he defeated death's grasp, or he escaped death's grasp, allowing us to do the same. I know that just in my life, I've done some bad things. I've done things that I'm ashamed of. I've made a mockery of the freedom that I've been given by God being born in this country. And I spent most of my life making a mockery of the freedom He gave us, spiritually speaking. I claimed to be the master of my own destiny, while laboring under the whip of sin and death, who were my masters. But I realized one day the true condition of my soul and even of my physical body. And it was at that time that I would have started to call myself a follower of Christ. I really hesitate to call myself a Christian. In addition to the negative connotations with it in modern society, it's also something that I don't live up to. I can't live up to, which is being Christ-like. But it was at that point that I knew that saying, God forgive me, I'm a sinner, and whatever the sinner's prayer is that your particular flavor of Christianity teaches you, that didn't save you. It didn't save me. No religious experiences save you, or they didn't save me. It is a logical, reasoned decision to turn away from the man I was and to actively fight against my baser desires. And that's what repentance is, and that's what the empty tomb gives to us. Easter signifies the hard work being done, the atoning work of Christ, of the spotless Passover lamb. It gives me the ability and the true desire to turn away from the man that I was and try to live up to whatever it is that God saw that He deemed worthy of His grace. Undeserved favor. I wasn't worth all of that. None of us are. And I'm going to fail today. I'm going to fail tomorrow. But I know the price is paid. And I know I'm free of the shackles of sin and death And though I may backslide, that is now not what defines me. What defines me is turning to God and not to myself and the world in times of trouble, and not making excuses for affronts to God. Please let us reflect today on what exactly the empty tomb represents. Because it's so much more than I'm going to put in this. It was God, you know. He did the ultimate act of love with this sacrifice on Golgotha, on Calvary. He left the disciples kind of frazzled and in the dark on Jesus' second day in the tomb. And then on the third day, he made himself a part of this physical reality in a way that never before been seen. He died, and he died in a brutal fashion. He was wrapped by old Joseph of Arimathea and Nicodemus, and probably a couple ladies helped, I'm assuming, because all the apostles were hiding scared. Wrapped him up, stuck him in the tomb, rolled the rock in place. The Jewish authorities posted guards. But when he was glorified on that third morning, the earth shook. And the reverberations of that can be felt in 2,000 years later. Every time that I feel down or anything of that nature, and I realize I actually have hope now. Because ultimately that's what the empty tomb means. It means that there's hope. And it means that our faith in God was not, or is not, ill-placed. He is worthy of our trust. And it's a humbling feeling. Alright, I'm gonna leave you guys with that. It's always a very emotionally trying day for me, and I can't always pinpoint why, other than the fact that I belong in that tomb without any hope of redemption. Enjoy the day. Enjoy your family. Easter bunnies get attacked on sight. Happy Resurrection Day, everybody.